Hi guys, and welcome back to A Girl Talks Formula One. With you, Manena Manatu, and today I have a juicy little video. For those of you who have been following me since I started my journey, you might remember that I actually started my Formula One vlog commenting on Drive to Survive, but I used to do episode by episode. Nowadays, there is just so much information of Formula One to share that I have decided to comment on the whole season. So today we're going to be talking about my review of Drive to Survive Season 4. So the first episode, Clash of Titans. That intro though, it is hot. Christian Horner is tired of Mercedes' domination, but then again, pretty much all of the teams are. So will this be the end of the Mercedes domination? He says they're obliterated. We can see Toto Wolff's tantrums. I mean, Günther Steiner had always been the king of memes, but 2022 was definitely Toto's year. We have 3 new rookies in Formula One for 2021, but how will they perform? And then the question of the million, is Toto Wolff more focused on financials than in competition? Ooh. Episode number 2, Ace in the Hole. Danny Rick moves to McLaren. That means that Carlos Sainz is out of the team and has moved to Ferrari, which him and Charles Leclerc have actually been getting along so well. Danny Rick has moved to McLaren, and I mean, Zach Brown is so excited to have him in the team. He is a 7-time Grand Prix winner after all, and most of the team principals actually praise him, even Christian Horner. Can Danny Rick finally become world champion? Can Charles Leclerc finally win Monaco? Monaco is obviously so special for Charles because this is his hometown, of course. And the last time that Daniel Ricciardo won a Grand Prix in Monaco was in 2018 with Red Bull. During Monaco, Charles Leclerc actually manages to get the pole position. Unfortunately, during formation lap, of course, race day, formation lap, his gearbox starts failing and he has to retire before the race even begins. Carlos Sainz wins P2 and Lando Norris P3. This is the first podium that the two best friends actually shared, and it was quite special if you ask me. The first place was for Max Verstappen. That is not on the video, but I just remember because it's also, I believe, the first time he's ever won Monaco. So it was quite exciting as well. There is no such thing as a good loser, says Christian Horner to Mercedes. Chapter 3, tipping point. Episode. There is no such thing as a good loser, says Christian Horner to Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton is actually 14 points ahead of Max Verstappen in Monaco. And Christian Horner thinks it is essential to do good in qualifying during Monaco to actually be able to win a race in this city. As we mentioned, Charles Leclerc gets the pole position despite a crash in qualification. Max Verstappen starts 2nd and Lewis 7th. On race day, as we know, Charles Leclerc had to retire because of the formation lap. So because Charles Leclerc got out of the race, all of the drivers were moved 1 position up. Unfortunately for Valtteri, this didn't really do much to him because he took so long in the pit boxes that he was actually eventually out of the race. I mean, they told him that there was nothing that they could do and he just had to pit forever during the race. So little Maxi baby had his first win in Monaco, which was so exciting. And this caused Max Verstappen to be 4 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton for the first time in his career, and I bet almost for the first time in Hamilton's as well. No, just kidding. For the first time in Max Verstappen's career, he was ahead of the game. And it was actually the first time that Red Bull had been leading in constructors since 2013. This actually meant 5 wins in a row for Max. But Silverstone, oh boy, Silverstone. I don't even want to remember this race. Like, I am serious. At Silverstone, Lewis Hamilton actually took Max Verstappen to the fence. In my opinion, this just proved part of who he really is. Silverstone was really when all of the feuding started between them two. It was a pinpoint for it to be an even bigger fight and battle. Despite this, Lewis Hamilton got a 10-second penalty and he still managed to win the Grand Prix. So that just proved what a great driver he actually is. Episode 4, A Mountain to Climb. Günther Steiner likes to take his time off to go to the mountains whenever he can to clear his head. And that is pretty much what any member of Formula One does whenever they have a break. They just try to kind of unfocus themselves on Formula One and just try to, clear their heads to actually perform better in Formula One. He talks about the difficulties of what it's like to lead the team with 2 rookies. And he's aware that the team needs budget. Therefore, they look for sponsors in different places, one of them being Audi. And we can see a really funny photo shoot with him and Mick Schumacher, and he says, I never thought I would be doing this, but I have to do it for the money, because it's what the contract states. I was just like, Günther, you are such a model. The thing is, though, that Nikita didn't have it so easy. At the beginning of the season, he does come from money, and we can see he is a little bit of a spoiled brat, because he wants things to be done his way. And his dad does get a lot in the way of the team, which is wrong because the dad isn't the engineer or the team principal or even the team owner, he's a sponsor. And of course, he's allowed to express his opinions and he needs to know about the metrics and how the team is performing, but not get in the way of a team, Episode 5, Staying Alive, Staying Alive, staying alive. I'm trying to make out the signs with a smooth operator. Anyway, I'm not even half as good as he is, I got to admit. In Formula One, you can maybe be the hero today, but be the forgotten one tomorrow. Daniel Ricciardo. And that is so true. Just like anything that has to do with celebrity status, Daniel Ricciardo has been struggling so much. He hasn't been making the best decisions in team changings. Or my question really is it really the team change? Or is it really him not adjusting to the new teams? Daniel feels that his career is slipping away, and he has mentioned he is a sore loser. He does not know how to lose, especially knowing how competitive he is. Thing is, though, that I feel he is always justifying himself instead of actually looking for solutions to get better. Daniel Ricciardo's confidence slowly starts going down, but hey, surprise, surprise, he wins a Monza with McLaren and Zach Brown gets a tattoo. We all know Daniel Ricciardo's tradition of making his team principals get tattoos when he gets a victory, and Zach Brown actually got his tattoo. Lando Norris managed to get P2, and they were there together sharing the podium, stating that it was one of the most special moments of the season for both of them. We have heard in different interviews how Drive to Survive is dramatized, and Max Verstappen has even said it himself. Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris kind of looks like they have a feud going on and a rivalry between them in Drive to Survive, but they actually get along really well and they're really nice people in real life, according to our MV 2021 World Champion. Episode 6, A Point to Prove, and this was actually probably, if not my favorite, one of my favorite episodes. This is all about the Williams team. We can see how Williams actually did amazingly in 2021, and Jos Capito is here to prove what he is capable of, but also what the team is capable of. After becoming the new team principal, a little bit into the season, he is not here to lose. And he puts pressure, good pressure on the team to make points, to make improvements on the team. He gets involved with the drivers get involved with the car. Everybody is a whole big family trying to make the Williams team a better team and actually score points, because sponsors are on top of him, saying that they may be gone if no points are scored. Vettel made a really rare appearance on Drive to Survive on this episode, and so did Claire Williams. She actually came back for this episode for Drive to Survive Season 4. And what's so funny is that James Matthews, the CEO of one of Williams' biggest sponsors, is actually Pippa Middleton's husband. That's right, Catherine Middleton's brother-in-law. Royalty. We see Hungary as well. That was a messy race. There was a 5-car crash, domino car crash, and it was raining so much, but George Russell did whatever he could to give priorities to Nicholas Latifi. If he had to give away one position down for Nicky to be one up, he actually did that. Latifi got 8th place and George Russell got 9th place. This was the first time that Williams scored points in 2 years, so imagine how they felt. And then George Russell gave an interview and he was crying so much because he was thanking a team that had given him so much as well. It actually made me drop a tear. He was just so emotional and sweet. It was just so cute. And at the end of the episode, we can see that this episode was actually dedicated to Sir Frank Williams. Episode 7, Growing Pains. This is the episode that highlights Esteban Ocon's first victory in Formula One during the Hungary Grand Prix. But it also showcases one of our favorite new drivers, Yuki Tsunoda, who is actually an exciting talent. And they show us how all Red Bull junior drivers have to live in Milton Keynes. Will Buxton actually tells us, like, what is there to do in Milton Keynes? And Yuki Tsunoda also tells us that it's kind of boring, but that's where they all have to live. And we see a special appearance from Formula 2 driver Liam Lawson. I never really understood if he was Yuki Tsunoda's roommate or his best friend, but they're together a lot. Alpine is rebranding their team. They now have Loren Rossi, and they have brought as well 2-time world champion Fernando Alonso to the team. By this episode, Yuki Tsunoda actually gets his highest position so far in his career, which is 6th place. As we all know, by the end of the season 2021, he actually got his highest position, which was 4th place in Abu Dhabi. Episode 8, Dances with Wolff. Here the struggle is that he doesn't know if Valtteri Bottas should stay in the team or if he should look for an exciting new driver that he can actually develop. By this point, we know that Valtteri Bottas is leaving. He still does not have a team, so Toto Wolff is doing anything he can to keep him in Formula One. And we can see more of this human side from Toto Wolff, which I actually really liked, in which we can see how close he is to Valtteri, and he invited him for lunch, letting him know that he's really sad about the decision that he had to do, about him having to let Lewis Hamilton take a position because he was told by the directives of motorsports that Valtteri Bottas actually had to give the position to Lewis. So a lot of the times when we've seen Toto ask Valtteri to give the position to Lewis, it hasn't been Toto's choice. He has been told to do it. He actually really supports Valtteri quite a lot, and they are very close to each other and very fond. So as mentioned, Toto Wolff is doing anything he can to get Valtteri a place, and we all know that Valtteri eventually ended up in Alfa Romeo. Then again, there starts being this weird tension between Valtteri Bottas and George Russell because they know what's going on. And Toto Wolff starts really thinking if George Russell really is the best option for Mercedes because of the rivalry and the competition these two drivers have, and because it was actually George's fault that Valtteri and George crashed against each other and they both got eliminated from the race. We can also see a special appearance from Carmen Montero Montt, which is George Russell's girlfriend. I think this was my highlight of the episode. I mean, she is just so charming and so nice. I'm literally obsessed with her. Her style is incredible. In Spa, George had an amazing qualifying, such a clean race despite it being raining. He got a P2 in qualifying, and this was the first P2 for George Russell in general because, as we all know, the race got cancelled after 3 laps, so he got his first P2. And it was also the first P2 in quali for the team since Italy in 2017. Episode 9, Gloves Are Off. There is no more hiding between Mercedes and Red Bull. We can see the clear rivalry between Christian Horner and Toto Wolff. Of course, Toto tries to be a little bit more political and Christian tries to be a lot more blunt about it, but the rivalry is really starting to get me very tense. And then there's also this whole Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton incident. I mean, in Monza, Max Verstappen's car was literally on top of Lewis Hamilton's head. Now, I'm not saying, I don't really think he was trying to kill him or anything. He probably didn't even know that the wheels were on top of Lewis's head. But the image was just savage, you know? And I just thank God that nobody died that day because it was a brutal crash. I mean, when have you seen a car on top of another? It was just so weird and tense and insane. That's definitely one of the races that I don't want to remember about this season, but it all started in Silverstone, you know? I think that the Red Bull members have had it, literally, with Mercedes playing mind games with them and justifying all of their mistakes. So they're just being aggressive AF And I mean, I'm not saying it's valid or justifiable. It's just their way of being. And then episode 10, harder racing. Who will win the world championship? Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton are tied up in points. But as we saw in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and maybe this summary of this episode is not going to be as long as the others because I have spoken about Abu Dhabi so much, but Checo killed it. I mean, that defense he gave for Max Verstappen to actually reach him and Lewis Hamilton, Checo is a god. And then we have Nicolas Latifi's crash, which was an absolute accident, but it happened. And if it wasn't for those two factors, Max Verstappen wouldn't have won the race because we see that the race was going to end in a safety car. I mean, the most exciting season in life, and it ends in a safety car? That was totally unfair. What was also a bit unfair, I have to admit, is that not all the overlapped cars overtook the safety car, only the ones that were between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. So I kind of understand Toto Wolff's frustration by now. I was just not aware of that fact. It should have been all of the overlapped cars, but Lewis Hamilton didn't change his tires either. So the victory was kind of for Max. Max Verstappen wins the World Championship, and in the first time in his career. It was just such an emotional moment. I cried so much because Max Verstappen didn't agree to be in Drive to Survive, but there was a short clip of Max Verstappen winning the championship. It was just so emotional for me, and I just cried all over again as if I had just seen the race. It was amazing. Anyway, so that was my review. You guys, for those of you who haven't watched season 4, I can guarantee you it's a million more times better than season 3. I really liked it. I don't think there's as much drama as, well, with Lando and Daniel because they create this fake rivalry. But it's a great season, to be honest. It's probably been one of my favorites, and it just made me remind of myself why I like Drive to Survive so much. So guys, go to Netflix, go watch the season, and let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and see you again next week on another episode of Girl Talks Formula 1.